Hello everyone, this is Specific Relief Act part 3. In the last part we had covered, in the first part we had covered about the overview of Specific Relief Act, and then we had moved forward with our section 5 and 6 of the SRA Act. I will repetitively using SRA as a word for this Specific Relief Act as a short form. We had covered the immovable property part as to how you can claim the specific relief in terms of immovable property, and then moving forward with the movable property, we will move with the movable property part. Section 7 and 8 of the SRA Acts deal with how you can enforce the specific remedy which is available to you when a movable property is in question. Let's move forward with this example. I had showed you this example in the last class also. If not watched the last class, please do watch that class before coming to this class to have better understanding. Here if you see, this is a judge and these two people are there. He is the one who is possessor and this is the person, he is the owner. When it comes to movable property, the question is always that whether possessor should have this property here, this movable property you can see is a gold watch, or the owner should have it. So this is decided by the court itself. One thing you need to understand is there is section 7. Section 7 talks about the aspect like Section 7, how it is related with this. Section 7 states the fact that he is the possessor in this particular case. This B is a person. He is merely a possessor in this case. I'm not able to use this, so I'm using this whiteboard. Okay, here A and B are two people. A and B are two people here. A is the possessor and B is the real owner. The question is under section 7, what it states is that a person entitled to possession of specific property may recover it in the manner provided under. If a person is entitled to possession, this person is entitled to possession. This possession could be due to various reasons. Probably this possessor is a person who has acquired it on hire, or he is a bailer. Sorry, it would be a bailee. You will understand this concept of bailer and bailee when we will be dealing with the special contracts. Then I will explain it to you. And this is a real owner. You understand, this is the gold watch which is there for a specific period of 1 year. This gold watch should belong to A, even though B is the real owner. What could be such scenarios in which this happens? This could be scenario. I'm just giving an example of how it can happen. Let's take an example. A wanted to take loan from B. B is a money lender. Alright, A goes to B. A is like, I need 1 lakh rupees of amount for 1 year, and B is not sure about whether A will be able to return it or not. So what B tells to A? B tells to A that you will have to give me your gold watch. I will keep it, and you will understand what is this contractual arrangement when you will be dealing with your property laws as well as the special contracts. We are not covering it here. This is specific class to understand the Specific Relief Act. Alright, so this is the whole scenario. This gold watch is with money lender. Obviously, this gold watch is of worth more than 1 lakh. So B has kept it as a security. You understand that the general term is like security. Security in the sense that if you are not able to return 1 lakh, I will sell your gold watch, and what I will do, I will recover my 1 lakh. So this is the arrangement. So if A is the owner of this watch and B is the possessor in this case, and if A goes to court, if A is not able to pay out this 1 lakh rupees and goes to court that B has my gold watch and B is not returning it back. So what the remedy B has? B in this case has the possession because he is entitled to it, क्योंकि उसका लीगल पोजेशन है उस प्रॉपर्टी के ऊपर, बिकॉज उन्होंने एक लीगल कॉन्ट्रैक्चुअल रिलेशनशिप डेवलप करा था. बिकॉज ऑफ दैट उसके पास वो गोल्ड वॉच होनी चाहिए बिकॉज इट इज़ अ सिक्योरिटी. सो बी इज़ एंटाइटल्ड टू दिस. So if such kind of scenario happens, what is the recourse? Section 7 deals with such kind of aspects if this kind of situation happens. Section 7 is entitled to possession either due to ownership, it could be due to ownership or special or temporary rights. Here some special or temporary right has been created in favor of B till the possession of the property is made. So here in this case, B holds that particular right. Such right may arise by act of owner of goods. So it could be due to bailment or pawn. You will understand these are the special contracts. You can if you want, you can search it out these topics, but otherwise we will cover it in detail in our subsequent lectures. You don't need to have a very detailed understanding as to what a bailment is to understand this, but just understand the fact that, to just give you one example as to how the bailment and pawn work. Pawn is a form. Pawn is a kind of pledge. To give you just an example how it works to make it easy, because a lot of times these terms will be used and in detail we will study in the special contracts. Firstly, understand the bailment concept. Bailment is when it is kind of a temporary delivery. Just imagine if A and B. A has a car and this car requires repairs and he goes to B. B is a mechanic in this case. So A gives a car to B for the repair purpose. So in this particular case, A becomes a bailer and B becomes a bailee. He got a temporary right to the possession of car, but A remains the owner. So this is a kind of arrangement of bailment. So only possession is transferred in this case and their specific purpose and what are the legal obligations and everything you will understand while you will do special contracts. To also give you just about what the pledge is. Pledge ke liye understand, we have taken example also of gold ring A and B. A requires loan. The same example I'm using, A requires loan. And there is a gold watch. A gives a gold watch to B because B needs a security. Here a gold watch is a security. Alright, because here what is delivered? A is the person who gives the goods. A is giving the goods, so A is a pawner here. And the who receives, B is receiving this, the B is pawnee here. So this is the kind of contractual arrangement which is formulated between the parties. So this is a pledge. So now I think it is clear to you how these temporary rights, what are the scenarios in which this temporary right can be created. I've explained you that as well. So another could be finder of the lost goods. Finder of the lost goods also have a special possession. क्यों? क्योंकि उसने उस चीज़ को ढूंढा है तो उसके पास एक स्पेशल राइट हो गया है उस चीज़ के ऊपर. ये अगेंस्ट एवरीवन होगा एक्सेप्ट द ट्रू ओनर, बिकॉज ट्रू ओनर इज द वन who is a real, who should really have the possession also because he is the owner, but because it is lost, so someone else, the ones who find this lost good, he will have the special rights over that particular thing. So for this kind of thing, section 7 also is like section 5. I had explained you in detail as to how section 5 works. The same way section 7 also works. It is not creating any, this section is not creating any special right. It's not giving you any right as such. Because otherwise, the special relief act creates some substantive rights. So इसमें कुछ नया नहीं बन रहा. You are not getting any right as such. What it is saying कि in case there is any sort of conflict of such a nature between these two people as we have seen. So there is a conflict between these two people. What you need to do, there is a conflict, just go to CPC. That is the thing you need to do. CPC is a civil procedure. How it works and everything I explained last class. Civil procedure is a kind of procedure which you will need to follow because it is a kind of civil dispute. In this case, you also need to understand the fact that plaintiff may or may not be in possession immediately before the dispossession. Because here the fact is that it's not necessary that when this whole conflict arises, the plaintiff should be in the possession. Why I say so? Because earlier, if you have seen my last video, part 2, there we had this concept of immovable property. In that immovable property, it was essential when we were dealing with the possession that there should be immediate possession, because when we were dealing with the disposition and 6 months notice, if you remember, we were dealing with that. Why it is important here that the possession may not be immediate? Because you understand the example in this case. This last example which I gave you about the repair, about the car. Here if you see, there is A and B, and I told you about the repairing of the car. Here in this case, what happens is, just twist I'm adding few more facts. Here B was the person who was given the car for repairing, because B is a mechanic in this case. B sells this car to X. B sells because B is merely was entitled to the possession for the repair purpose. So here the bailee was only required to repair it. He did not have the right to sell it. So in this case, A has the right to go to court through CPC mechanism. See, here in this case, when this whole dispute arises, A was not in possession. A was owner but not in possession. Probably this car was with B for 1 year. Probably he took 1 year for the repair and A did not go there. A did not ask his car back for 1 year, and after 1 year B sells it to X. But understand, in this particular case, if you see, A is the owner, and even then, even though A was not in possession at the time of this whole dispute, A can file the case and A can claim the possession. That is the whole meaning of this. Another factor is about, for this remedy under SRA, the property should be specific and movable nature. What is specific movable nature is? Specific movable nature is like this particular gold watch, as we have seen. This particular gold watch, this car with this particular identifiable number. Here in this case, as I told you, A and B, this car in this case is a specific movable property, because this particular car has a particular feature. This car has a particular number also. So court can enforce this particular other party who has like sold it to X to bring back the specific movable property itself, because here specific movable property is in question. But if you see, there are scenarios in which what kind of things are in question is like coins are in question, or if you see, money is in question. If just imagine A and B, so A has given 500 coins to B, or it could be grains, any sort of thing which is, so this is not specific kind of thing, and like this kind of goods can be said to be indistinguished goods, because you cannot judge as to how these 500 coins are different from so A has given 500 coins to B. A cannot insist to give back if B gives this to C. A cannot insist back that these particular 500 coins should be A. B can return back other 500 coins as well, some other coins, because coin value remains the same. That's something you need to understand for this also. And another factor is about the limitation period. For this section, the limitation period prescribed is 3 years. So the law says that within 3 years you need to file the case under CPC and get your right enforced. Moving on to section 8, which is a complementary section to this. It is also about movable property itself. Let's understand this true example. In this scenario, when it comes to section 8 comes into picture. Section 8 comes into picture when defendant has the possession. The article is movable property. Defendant is not the owner of the so there is an error here. I've rectified it. He's not entitled to. He's not owner of the title. Owner of the title, basically he does not own it. He don't have the title over that particular good, because here the question is a movable property. The plaintiff is entitled to immediate possession. So let's take it into example. How this happens is, I'm giving you an example of A and B again. A and B in this scenario. A and B. Okay, so what are the situations in which it can happen? A, if you see, is the one who has good. Just take the case of furniture. A has some furniture. A goes to abroad. A wants to go to abroad. And now this furniture is lying in his house. He thinks that let's give it to his friend B. A goes to B that keep this furniture till I come back. So B is given this furniture till he comes back. What B do? B pledges it. I gave you an example of pledge. Means he gives it as a security. He wants to take some loan from X and he gives it to X as pledge. This is with the furniture is with B. So is it allowed? Now A comes back. A is the owner. A comes back and tells to B, because here in this case B is a bailee and A is a bailer. I have told you about this, so I'm presuming you know the bailer, bailee and a pledge because I discussed it in this video itself. Now here this case, this whole arrangement comes into picture. Now you see A here in this particular B here in this particular case was an agent, and now because A comes back, and now A is entitled to the immediate possession of his property, because it is A's property. A wants it back, but B is pledging it to X. So if you see in the scenario how all the situations of section 8 are getting fulfilled, you see in this case important aspect of section 8 is defendant has possession. Here in this case, if you see, defendant has the possession. But defendant is not the owner. Defendant in this case is B, because A goes to the court and files this case. So defendant has the possession, but he is not owner. Easy. And then you see another aspect of it is a movable property. If furniture is a movable property, so that is in question. That is also getting fulfilled. So here in this case, if you see, another may be compelled specifically to deliver it to the person entitled to its immediate possession. In this case, you see A is entitled to immediate possession because A is the person who owns it, and this is how B can be specifically compelled to return it back to A. So this is the specific relief remedy which is available to A. You see, this is an example of a thing which is not rare. So furniture is a property which is you can ascertain the value of property, ascertainable. So it is ascertainable. There is ascertainable means इसका मतलब है कि आप फर्नीचर की वैल्यूएशन कर सकते हो. अगर कोई फर्नीचर है तो क्या होगा, तो आप फर्नीचर वाले की किसी की दुकान के पास जाओगे, यू विल ट्राई टू अंडरस्टैंड कि ये फर्नीचर का वैल्यू कितना है, तो दैट कैन अमाउंट ऑफ मनी कैन बी क्लेम्ड बाय ए. So ठीक है, that is a question. So for section 8 you also need to understand there are 2-3 situations in which firstly is the situation which we dealt with right now, also the example also I have discussed, when the thing claimed is held by defendant as agent and the plaintiff as an agent or trustee in this case. So here in this case he was as a bailer, he had possession. ठीक है, that was in the Wood Rowley case as well. You can read this case. Here a person goes abroad, leaves furniture with his friend who pledges furniture for obtaining loan. So as we discussed that example right now only, so that's covered. The another scenario could be when the compensation money would not afford the plaintiff's adequate relief for the loss of the thing claimed. There is a situation in which what can happen is, if you see the situation we took in the starting of the class about this gold watch. You see, this gold watch is an antique. antique set of piece means antique is it's like एंटीक यू अंडरस्टैंड एंटीक अगर आई हैव टू एक्सप्लेन हिंदी एंटीक का मतलब ये हो सकता है कि वो चीज़ जो है वो बहुत पुरानी थी एंड उसकी कोई देयर इज़ नो पर्टिकुलर वैल्यू एंड इट हैज़ बिकम रेयर नाउ. वो बहुत पुरानी चीज़ थी एंड इट्स नॉट अवेलेबल नाउ एंड इफ़ यू सेल इट इन द मार्केट यू कैन गेन मच मोर देन वॉट इज़ इट्स वैल्यू. इफ़ यू सी दिस गोल्ड वॉचेज ऑफ 1 लाख रुपीज़ एट ठीक है at the time it was bought, but now its value is like 10 lakh. Why? Because now it is one in few, like there is no other alternative of such watches available. That is a scenario. So in this case when the money compensation is not adequate, so what the plaintiff can ask for, plaintiff can ask for the to return the defendant the same thing. Understand this fact that how clause B is different from clause C here in this case. B, you see, it is like money would not be able to afford the plaintiff adequate remedy. What could be those example in this case when the money would not be able to provide the same kind of relief to the plaintiff? You see, like if there is a famous singer, if you see there is a singer, she is a famous singer. So A is a famous singer in this particular case and she gives her song, a written song, that she has written a song and she gives a copy to B as an agent in this particular case is handing over his copies, and later A asks for that song copy again and then B says that B refuses to provide it. Since written song is a kind of is a thing which money would not be able to provide a remedy with, because A wants that particular written song itself, because it is unique creative thing. It is subject. It also, these provisions are also subjected to the interpretation of the court as to how they interpret it. One thing which is I've usually seen is the sentimental values involved. Sentimental values. Because here written song, she has written the song on her own. You cannot just say that I will provide you the money and just go. Money is not the adequate compensation. And when you see this situation in which it would be very difficult to ascertain the actual value, this is usually applied in the cases when the object in question, object here is the movable property, specific movable property such where it's very difficult to ascertain its value. The article is of an ascertainable value or irreplaceable. Irreplaceable in the sense, irreplaceable sense is like if a person has found a fossil, if you see a fossil, or we had taken the example of gold watch. If that gold watch was of particular period of time or edition which is no longer manufactured and it is one of the rare watches now, will you be able to ascertain the value? Because it has now become an antique. As I took the example earlier as well, where I had given you the example. So such things are you cannot ascertain the value. So in such cases, defendant and the defendant refuses to who has it is in possession that particular immovable property. जिसके पास वो immovable property का possession है, that person will be compelled to return it back. And then there could be then there are situations when the possession of the thing claimed has been wrongfully transferred from the plaintiff. Wrongfully transferred to the plaintiff. What could be a situation in which there is wrongful? You see, this example is of A and B again. A and B. So as I told you, all right. A had the gold watch, which we took the example of. A had a gold watch in his house. B comes to the A's house and steals. Now B has done the theft. So theft is a wrongful act, and then B transfer it to X. B sells it to X. Now X has the possession of this property, this movable property which has been wrongfully transferred, because transfer has happened, but this nature is of wrongful act. So A can go to the court. A can compel X to deliver back this whole property to A, because A here is the owner. X can be sued return it back, even though he had bought it, but it is a wrongful transfer has happened in this particular case. So as we took the example, because wrongful transfer of the property has happened. So this sums up this video where I've tried to explain the section 7 and 8 in very great detail. I think I've broken down each and every section. We've tried to explain it in a very detailed manner. In the next class, we will continue from our next sections, and also I will give you a brief gist which I could not give in this particular class, and we will continue from here itself. But I also want you to give me your insights as to what you can think about this, the CPC track and section 6 and 8, because what we studied is that section 5 and section 7 requires you to use the track of CPC, and section 6 and 8 requires you to use specific relief remedies, which means that 5 and 7 are not giving any specific remedy. We are merely using the civil code procedure. So what is the difference? The question which is as a homework question for this class is, what is the difference between the CPC mechanism as well as the SRA? You should also you can use this picture. This picture is not that clear, but you can literally see what you can research on this aspect as to what is the CPC mechanism versus SRA mechanism, and please comment to me this whatever is your findings in this particular. And also you need to research on this case, which is an important case, Punjab Urban Planning and Development Authority versus Shiv Saraswati Iron and Steel Re-rolling Mills. This is an important case whereby the difference in terms of what is the difference between 5, 6 and 7, 8 is defined well in understanding as to how the suits under SRA is different from the CPC. That is a major question. I will answer this question in the next class in the initial 5 minutes. So this winds up. Let's wind up this class, and it was very fun teaching this topic, and it is a complex topic. You need to revise this topic. Just go through again. You can read from the Bare Act and also from the book. Thank you for watching this video. Please like. I've took a lot of efforts in making this video, this interesting video. Please do like this video. You can subscribe to the channel for the more videos, and you please share it with your friends, so that I can also get a lot of encouragement if a lot of people are watching. Thank you so much. Bye bye.